Hello? Nozomi. It's Ryo. Hey, I've been listening to this Retro Domination podcast. I think you'd really like it. Well, anyway, I'll talk to you soon.
And welcome to the latest episode of the Retro Domination podcast. With me here is my co-host with the most, Pete. How you going, sir?
I'm excited, man. I'm very excited at this early time of the morning.
I've been giggling like a little schoolgirl in anticipation of this interview. Why? Because with us today we've got the one and only Corey Marshall, man behind Ryo Hazuki. How you going, sir?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me on.
No, absolute pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure. The E3 was happened a couple of weeks ago. We had the announcement of Shenmue 3, and the Shenmue community just blew up. All the guys that have been living in hope since the end of Shenmue 2. There was many tears. I think I'm proud to admit that I had a few nerdy tears. Man, what was it like when they announced it at E3? Did you actually know prior, or was this...
Yeah, they kept it a huge secret from everybody. So yeah, I didn't know. Nobody that I know knew. Even the people that I had connections with in Japan, the people who worked closely with Sega, they had no idea. I mean, they called me up and were like, "Hey, did you hear?" I was like, "Wow, you didn't know that?" So it was such a big secret. I think a lot of people probably saw the promotion piece that they did, the one that's on Kickstarter. They even found a different voice actor in Japan to do that particular role, and yeah, it was such a huge secret that nobody knew about it. And so yeah, that was it came to us as a surprise. And you were talking about your tears of joy. I think I shed a few tears when I started seeing everybody else's tears. When I started watching the reaction videos and stuff, I was like, "Oh man, look at this!"
Yeah, man. It's so many years that it was a point where I've spoken to a couple of other guys, and they said it was a surreal moment because this is the thing that we'd been pining for so many years, and we never really thought it would ever happen. We'd given up hope. I mean, there was the announcement of there was Shenmue Online. I think it was in the early late 2000s, late 2000s. Yeah. But probably about 2007, I think, when that was announced, and that sort of never. And I was like, "Wow, this looks awesome," but that never saw the light of day. And then you saw Ryo was in, I think, Sonic All Stars Racing Transformed. I was like, "Whoa, yeah. There's a hint, and we just sort of clutched onto these little tidbits of awesomeness. But yeah, so I think, but most of the community, they were always hopeful. But yeah, that just came like a drop, like a bomb. So. Really, really stoked, man. So, just wanted to go back in time a little bit. You've prior to actually getting your I guess a chance at doing a Ryo at for the voiceover for Ryo for Shenmue 1. What were you doing prior to that, and how did you actually get into the voice acting side of things? I know from my research you'd studied a bit of martial arts.
Yeah, I had, funnily enough, that actually helped me with those extra guttural, moves.
The key eyes, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That Hazuki had to do. All of the key eyes, all of the punches, all of the, even taking the hits and, that kind of thing. That certainly did help. Yeah, sure. I was man, I grew up out in the middle of nowhere, Texas, um, called the Devil's Backbone, and maybe had some similarity to some Australian outback. But yeah, it's just mountainous and desolate and dry, and uh, there was one martial arts place in town, and the story goes, of course I saw Bruce Lee on the movies, and I thought, man, how awesome is that? I want to do that. And the only thing that we had in town was a Taekwondo, American Taekwondo Association, the ATA. They're not you know awesomely close to me because where I live, nothing was close. So it was a little closer to my school. We actually had to travel out of my small town to go into a different town to go to a school because that's the only thing that was close enough. And then after school, I would go there. So yeah, I studied Taekwondo first of all when I was young, and then yeah, I had studied all kinds of things after that. I studied karate. I studied kung fu. I studied even things like capoeira and fencing. And
Wow.
I've always loved the physical combat form, and I think it just has a lot to do with the competition with myself. I always kind of feel like yes, I am facing an opponent, but really that opponent is just something that improves myself, right? So if I lose, or if I'm not doing well, or if I did okay, if I still win but I did all right, then it's still always an opportunity for me to improve myself, and I think that's what I like the most. I tried other team sports. I tried American football, and I tried what we call soccer, and I kind of felt like, man, I could play the most amazing game of my life and still lose, and I wasn't okay with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like even though I was coming up against an opponent, it was always an opportunity for me to improve myself. So really, the competition was with myself. So I've always enjoyed combat in all forms, and that's something that I've just done forever.
Nice, man.
And even things like I always enjoyed a personal sport, even things like rock climbing, and I did parkour for a little while when that wasn't even a thing, and so yeah, and then at the time. People may know that I was actually studying dance at the time. So I was actually in New York. I was studying ballet and modern dance. And again, that was something that I was attracted to because it was an opportunity to improve myself and my body. And it's always, a lot of physical things people think that it is physicality, and it's about how well you're able to how well your body is able to do something, and in reality it's not. I mean, rock climbers will tell you that it's probably 10% physical and 90% mental. It's the same thing with martial arts. It's the same thing with dance. And it's just the mental ability to be able to
overcome a certain situation and push yourself through. Fellow martial artist myself, so yeah, totally understand, man.
Excellent. Yeah. So yeah, you know where I'm coming from, and funnily enough, I was in New York. I was studying dance at the time, and I had auditioned for things here and there. I had auditioned for things in the city. I had worked doing all kinds of things. And an audition came up in the publication of Backstage, and that was for the project, and it didn't even say what it was. It didn't say who it was for. It didn't say. The only thing it said was voiceover for video games needed. Let's see. I think it said 3 to 4 months in Japan. I was like, hey, I want to go to Japan.
Yeah.
So why not, right? And so I kind of tell a story like this, just stupidly decided to audition for it because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know, I had no prior experience other than I play video games. I love video games. I had been in entertainment since I was very young. I had done, all kinds of things, modeling, and I had done a lot of stage acting. I still do stage acting. But so that's the acting experience I had, and I figured, well, it's kind of like acting, but for video games, and I play a lot of video games, so I guess that makes sense. So yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. Decided to go to the audition, and they had me do a really simple read. They actually had part of the script there, and they didn't even need me to do much with my voice. And I kind of remember thinking, like, hey, I can do voices, like, just messing around. I'm just a stupid kid. Sometimes I just mess around doing silly voices. And they said, no, we think this character is good, and you don't really have to change your voice. And I said, okay, fine. So, yeah, it was just a short audition. They had me come in and read, and then I think it was only a couple of days later, they called me up and wanted me to come in again. And again, I came in and said, hey, do you need me to change anything? And they said, well, the only thing is that the character's a little young. So if you could just kind of change the pitch just a little bit, just bring it up one little pitch, just to make him sound just slightly younger. The character's, in his early teens, or in his late teens at that point. I said, okay. And, yeah, that was it. And they ended up calling me up, and one of the guys was an American, and he said, "Hey man, I got some bad news. You're gonna have to leave your home and go spend some time in Japan. Is that okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's why I auditioned for it." And he's like, "Okay, great."
Nice.
And so yeah, just kind of a stupid kid deciding to do something, ridiculous and do something I've never done before, and that's what happened.
So you've gotten the voiceover job. So was that the first time you'd actually gone to Japan, or how was that for you? Because I've always wanted to go, and I want to get there one day.
Yeah, most of my travels up until that point have been within the United States. States is pretty good sized place. I'd been all over, and whatever. I've been to Mexico and Canada and stuff like that, but I haven't had the opportunity at that point in my life. I think I was just concentrating too much on my school, and then my martial arts and my other extracurricular activities as far as theater and stuff like that are concerned. I haven't really had the opportunity to travel that much. So yeah, that was actually my first time, like, seriously. Like I said, Canada and Mexico don't really count for Americans. Kind of like, we like to take those trips often, but to be in a really far away place for the first time was actually by myself, and it was taking that trip. Yeah, first time in Japan, first time in Asia, first time taking a flight that long to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, because a lot of times you can hop over the border here, depending on what you're doing, you can actually cross the border without a passport. So yeah, I actually had to get a passport, and that was my first trip going that far for anything anywhere. And I decided, okay, I guess I'm going big. And first time in a country where I wasn't sure about communication, how things were going to go. I wasn't sure how much English was going to be able to be spoken on the street, how much Japanese I was going to be able to pick up. Things kind of happened quickly. I didn't even have a chance to start thinking about Japanese or start studying Japanese. And, it's kind of like, okay, well, it's next month. See you then. And I was like, okay, great.
I'll quickly go buy a Learn Japanese CD and listen to it in the car on the way to and from work. And
yeah, I know, right? He got a 14-hour plane trip. You could learn something there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, hello, goodbye, and thank you, probably. That'd be about it.
Yeah. Well, and where's the bathroom? Right, of course you get it.
Nice.
Yeah, so first time really doing that, and I really was excited to make some friends there, because I was really looking forward to learning, I guess, what I thought would be real Japanese, and that's what the people are speaking, and not exactly what you would learn from a CD or a book or anything like that. I was like, okay, great. Well, especially young people my age at the time, and I figured I'd learn, I guess, like I said, real Japanese, but it never happened because they were so excited to see me and so excited to be speaking English. I said, okay, we'll practice English as long as we can learn some Japanese. And they said, yeah, fine. And it never happened. English was the thing, and everybody wanted to speak it. And it's interesting. Even the security guard, he was a much older guy there at Sega headquarters, decided he wanted to speak English. And yeah, he would come up to me every day and he would say, how do you say this or how do you say that, or what's the right way to say this or that? And we, from the very little Japanese that I learned, it's just kind of like it's like a little thing. I'd see him every day and we would just kind of do a little bit of conversation, and then he'd be like, oh, okay, great. And I was like, oh man, even this guy who's much older, man, he must have been like he was probably getting on in his 60s at that time. And I was like, he's probably been working here forever, and he just decided to start learning English. And I thought, wow, that's so great. And for some reason, he just kind of latched onto me and started to learn English that way. So yeah, it's just it never happened, and lots of English was being spoken.
So you obviously made some really great friends whilst you were recording for the first two Shenmues?
Yeah, even like I said, even just Japanese locals. There was some friends that I met that just happened to be working at restaurants, and actually a friend of mine that was working there in the hotel. It's funny, they were they were young at my age, and they just were being servers at the time, and I remember going back years later, a few years later, doing the second project, and I went back to the hotel there in Shinagawa where I first stayed, and I asked for Takuwa, and he was just a waiter at the time, and then a couple years later, I asked for him. They said, "Oh yeah, sure," and they came right back. And he came back, and he was in a suit, and he was like in charge of the restaurants of that particular hotel at that area, and he was moving on to go. He was going to start being in charge of the restaurants for all of the all of the hotels in the area after that. And I was like, "Oh man," And then another friend of mine. It's funny. There was a TGI Fridays.
Yep.
That was next to the hotel that I was in, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll go in here and see how they're doing TGI here. And it's exactly, I mean, man, they do it exactly there as they do it here. And one thing that they love is that they love to put on that Tom Cruise movie that, when he was the bartender, and they all start doing the bartender thing, and every Friday they have a big, like competition with bartenders slinging the drinks around and making drinks, and Cocktail was the name of it. Yeah. So that was like a big thing. And I was like, okay, so I started showing up just because for the show or whatever. And I made some friends there, and the same thing. Yeah. Like I met this young girl, she was a waitress, and she, like, when I went back a couple years later, she owned her own flower shop, and yeah, it was kind of interesting to see where my friends kind of came from, and then moved up. It's weird. It's like seeing somebody's kid. When you first see them, they're just a 2-year-old, and you think they're cute, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you see them a few years later, and the kid's like 7, and you're like, holy crap, this kid grew up suddenly. It's the same thing. It's like when I went back, my friends grew up, and I was like, yeah, I guess you grew up, I grew up. It's a little bit like that. You know what I mean?
So you're 35, is that correct?
Yeah, I am now. Yeah.
Man, so, well, I'm 37. So, like, man, that would have been an amazing experience. Like, at that age when you were over there as well, just still young and fresh. Like, we've all settled down. We've got like kids and families now. That would have been really, really cool, man. That's really, really awesome.
Yeah, I really do feel pretty lucky to have that experience at that age. Really did kind of just open me up as a person. You know what I mean? Really did.
Did you think when you were working on the game, I don't know if you saw, I guess you would have had to see like rolling footage to narrate along with it or voiceover with it. Did you think it would have such a huge following or be such a pioneering game for its time?
Yeah, I did. The thing is that, again, being a fan of games myself, one of the first things they did for me when I got there is that they set me up with a console, gave me a Dreamcast.
Cool.
And they gave me the game. They actually gave me the game in Japanese with English subtitles, which was really cool.
Nice.
And so I started playing the game, and I was like, "This is a really cool game," So, me liking the game itself, I thought, I would love for this. I would love for it to do well. I think that it probably will do well, and I can't wait to see what happens to it in the States once it goes abroad. And I kind of didn't anticipate this almost cult-like following. I don't know if I could have anticipated that, but I kind of knew that we were dealing with something that I thought it was good, so I kind of knew that
something a bit special from the normal sort of games around the time. Yeah.
And again, a lot of people talk about, of course, we all know about the the time and the change in the weather and the distances that you have to travel, just being a little bit more realistic. And oh man, I just showed up at the shop and it's 5 minutes later and it's closed, and holy crap, I gotta run all the way back to the hotel or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? That stuff just being like, I remember thinking like, I think all games are gonna be like this in the future.
You don't want to. It pretty much is too, because there was nothing like that back then.
Yeah.
Like today's modern day gaming, like Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, sort of imitates in a sense what Shenmue did all the way back then.
Yeah, it's true. We do see a lot of that. But interestingly, I guess people still have a lot of love or hate for that particular way that things are done, right? So, like I just said, mentioning about a store or something like that, and having people being frustrated that they have to run all the way back to their hotel or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? I was just thinking something like Grand Theft Auto. You can still go mess around and pick up a hooker and still have some car chases, and, even though it's midnight or whatever the case may be.
In Grand Theft Auto, Ine-san doesn't yell at you for being late.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that is that a lot of people, and again with weather changes and stuff like that. I mean, even something like like a mobile game. For example, like Boom Beach. You know what I mean? Sometimes you go to your island and suddenly it's raining, and you're like, oh yeah, it's tropics. Of course, it's going to be raining. And, so that's just stuff that they're still doing today, just because you want to kind of make things a little bit more realistic, I guess, in a way. Just to kind of add a little bit of flavor. Shenmue's they were there and they did it, so it's great.
Will it affect the game, do you think, like the series? Because one thing that with Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2 that I found took the game, or made the game a lot longer to finish off for me, was the U Arcade. Do you reckon it will affect it, like, now that obviously this is being funded through Kickstarter and it's coming out on the PlayStation? Like, I'm imagining that we're not going to get to see, Space Harrier's iconic Sega stuff in the arcade. Hopefully they have the arcade. Do you reckon that would affect it at all? Do you miss it? Is there anything that you wish that was in the arcade?
Of course, that'd be great, right? Like, let's just. I kind of wish there was a not a statute of limitations, but what is it? Oh, public domain, right? I just kind of feel like, maybe there should be a public domain on games that will be able to open up an arcade and be able to play whatever it's or Pac-Man or Tron. Let's play some Tron while we're in there too.
Nice.
But yeah, why not, man? Because the thing is that again, you could just go in there and just be like, no, I'm not gonna go that quest today. I'm just gonna go in the arcade and get some money. You know, why not? Let's just go in there and just spend all day in the arcade. I need to blow off some steam and. Oh, whoops! I don't have enough. I gotta go play some Lucky Hit or get a part-time job or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Have to waste a little bit of time getting some money first, and then go to the arcade, and then it's just a couple of days later, and you're like, okay, fine. I think I can get back on track now.
They're definitely some of the massive, to me, like massive building blocks of Shenmue and the series is just the whole storyline and premise of the game as it is, and then the martial arts factor that's tied into the game, and then all the side stuff like like the arcade or going off and collecting the capsules and all these weird things that you could do in the game is just something that's, I don't know.
It's awesome.
It's just some people would be like, what, you drive around a forklift on a dock and move crates? Like it's awesome. It's just like an experience, I think. It's, I don't know, it's like no other, hence the outcry of support when it was announced that 3's coming.
That's it.
Take my money.
Shut up and take my money.
That's it.
I'm actually proud to say in Shenmue 1 I spent an entire day and a lot of yen drinking soda cans. Just so I could get the winning can, and I finally got the one when I got Space Harrier to get the got Space Harrier to play back at the Hazuki house.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, man. And I with the forklifts, I think you could win several forklifts if you came first, second, third, or fourth. I got all of those forklifts as well because that's what I do, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't heard. I have been in a bit of communication. I am not sure what legal rights that anybody has to. So we have the rights to Shenmue. Does that include the other little bits and pieces as well? Man, I sure hope so. That'd be great. Maybe does that include? I don't know. Does that include other Sega projects at the time? Does that include things that were in the game, or is it nothing, or is it just Shenmue? I don't know. We'll find out. And they, being in the business as long as I have, probably there's some lawyers still talking about it all day, every day, and probably until the point we release the game. We may or may not know just because legality. And, people have even asked me in the past, like, oh, well, what if we did a Kickstarter campaign? And I said, and I had mentioned this to people before the project was announced. I was like, there is so much crazy legal stuff out there, man. It's like, yeah, that all sounds great, but I know that there's a lot of lawyers and a lot of money and a lot of, I don't know. If it happens, that'd be awesome. And then look, I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody was praying to some, ancient god that maybe actually exists, and Shenmue 3 came out, and it just seems like a crazy miracle, right? And how and why this happened, I don't know. And I think it, and I've said this before too in the past, and I think it's just the relentless pressure of all the fans out there. Who, and Yu Suzuki even talked about this in the at the E3. Even in the intro, he said, "Yeah, everywhere I go, people are like, hey, how you doing? Hey, what about Shenmue 3?"
Yeah, that's it. That's spot on.
Right. So it's like, and I'm sure he was just like, God, yeah, I want to do it. What are you talking about? Of course I do. And I think it was just like. People just always talked about it all the time. It's always followed me and all the things that I've done, and it's always followed him and all the things that he's done too, right? I mean, all the great stuff that he's put out, people have always talked about Shenmue. Yeah. So I just think that it, I don't know. Sometimes people say that they did give up hope. Some people said that they never gave up hope, or some people said I knew it was going to happen, or what. It's just, people never gave up, and like you said before, there were these little hints here and there. Oh man, Hazuki showed up in the on his forklift. Can you believe that? And so that drums up a lot of, and people talk about it again, and they talk about it for about a year afterwards, and then So yeah, the only reason it happened, and I think it's because of the relentless pressure of all the fans. So.
Nice.
People, I think, too, that haven't experienced it, I always liken it to, it'd be like watching, say, Lord of the Rings movie, watching number 1, watching number 2, and we'll just stop right there.
Yeah, right.
We'll wait now, like I don't know, 10, 13 years for the next one. Well, it's just that it's not going to happen, or it's going to happen. Is it going to happen? And that's sort of what it's like. And I think that's like the intrigue to the game that's built up so much over the years. It pops up on Kickstarter, and bam, there's 1 million, there's 2 million, there's 3 million. It just went through the roof, and I think that's why it's so damn good.
It is. It's great. It's even like another big reveal we had this year was like Star Wars Episode 7. It's like, wow, we got Han Solo back as well. So that's another thing we never thought we'd see. So no, it definitely a good year for being into nerdy stuff. So,
it's a good year for the nerd, right?
That's it, man. That's it. So you I don't know, did you grow up with the Sega Master System or a Nintendo or just everything?
Yeah, I didn't have my parents had separated when I was young, so I didn't have a whole ton of money. I think again, most of my time and effort was spent doing my martial arts, and my mother did the best she could, man, to bring me around the country and compete in the nationals and world tournaments, and I did my stage acting and stuff like that. So we did the best we could, so I didn't have a chance to have a whole lot of systems. I did have the Nintendo system when I was growing up. My brother, he did have the Atari, and when he wasn't looking, I did play the Atari as well. But yeah, so I had Nintendo, and my friend actually had the Sega system, and we would go back and forth to each other's houses. And so yeah, I grew up on Nintendo. I grew up on Final Fantasy. I grew up on all of that stuff. And unfortunately, I did not have the Sega system, and they always had really cool games, and I was kind of sad that I couldn't have both systems, you know what I mean? But I got a chance to play my friend's stuff, and that was cool. It's kind of like he had his side and I had my side, and we could just kind of have the best of both worlds.
Just one thing that's always intrigued me, you said when you first went over to Japan, they said they handed you like a Sega Dreamcast to play Shenmue. Did you ever see any sort of inkling that it was going to be on the Sega Saturn? Because I know there was a couple of like prototype or tech demos done. Originally, Shenmue was going to be done on the Saturn, but I think Yu Suzuki must have sort of realized, man, I think we need something with a bit more grunt. Did you ever see any sort of things like that, or play test anything like that whilst you're over there in the initial times?
Yeah, I did not. I remember they did show me a lot of stuff, and they had been working on the project for actually quite a while, and they had done a ton of research. A lot, people probably know that they did a lot of location research. I mean, actual location research, sending out teams to villages, even in China and stuff like that. They had, even for the projects that had not even been created yet, future projects that we're getting into just now. Right? So Shenmue 3 and 4 and 5, they had done a lot of research. And so, yeah, they did show me a bunch of this stuff. And I know some of that material leaked out a little bit later. Probably just released or whatever. But
yeah.
Man, they had so much material and so many pages. I remember walking into one of the office, and they just the way the Japanese do it is they just have like a crazy stereotypical, almost comical stack of papers on each person's desk. You know what I mean? It looks like the never-ending stack of papers that an office worker is just going to jump out of the window, and but that's how they do things. And man, they had so much material done with Shenmue already. I was like, oh my god, this is and I've mentioned before that they gave me whole notebooks, whole pages of stuff on every character's name, their family name, their blood type, what they do.
Wow.
And locations that they're in, and they even had the families that were together. Oh, this is this is the grandfather, this is the mother, and the granddaughter, and you'll meet all these people. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe you gave all these people a blood type. Are you kidding me? And so they said, oh yeah, it's funny talking about the blood type. They said, yeah, but in Japan, it's a way to determine people's personalities. So if people have this particular blood type, then their personality is a little bit more this way. It's like, oh, interesting. So I mean, that's why they do those things. So yeah, so they would assign somebody who was a little bit more aggressive with this particular blood type, or somebody who is this whatever. Even amongst all the gangsters, they all had different personality traits and types, and so they would all have different blood types and stuff like that. So it was interesting, and again, they had so much, this wealth, this whole bank of information that I was just astounded to see. It was
amazing, just so many just different little characters. There was a shop. There was a guy standing in the front. I don't know if it was like a Yakuza building or something, and there was a guy wearing sunglasses. He's like, "Shut the hell up! What the hell do you want?" I was like, "Whoa, easy, Tiger." There was I can't remember. It was some mission you had to go up there for, but just all these, like the guy at the fish shop. There's Tom at the hot dog stand. All these,
right?
Yeah, yeah, Ryo.
Who doesn't love Tom, right?
Yeah, that's it. Do you still remember his tornado kick?
Oh yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? Actually, I used to love using that kick in the game, because it's like it was one of those long setups that if you're trying to do it, you're going to get nailed. But if my opponent was far enough away, I could do that tornado kick and really cause some serious damage. And yeah, I used to love doing that just because it was fun to do.
That's it. And the epic, was it the 70-man battle at the end of Shenmue 1?
Was it 100 man?
Was it 100
man?
Yeah,
100 man, I think.
100 man. So I remember when that happened, I was like, what the hell's going on here? This is awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. And I love the fact that you had to kind of make your way around the area, and you had all these opponents coming at you from all these different areas, or from all sides, basically. And that was cool. I had to do some finger push-ups to get ready for that one, man. That test.
Oop.
Okay, that'll test you right there. So
that's it. And then was it the last battle with was it Chai, that crazy guy?
Chai at the end, and that's where Guizan gets his leg crushed, so he's unable to accompany China.
Guizan was a badass too, man.
Yeah, and that was cool too. And you kind of think like you kind of have he's kind of got your back, right? And then all of a sudden his leg gets crushed. And you're like, oh great, now I got to face this crazy nut who's played by Paul Lucas, who's also a crazy nut. And so yeah, to play that at the game, that was great. That was a great little ending there.
I remember being really frightened when he went to U Arcade in the middle of the night, and he had to meet someone there, and he's like, ah! It's like, oh man, what the hell's this freak? So, oh man, good memories, man.
Yeah, the way Paul Lucas describes that, he's just like, sometimes when you're doing a character, you just have to throw something really crazy out there, and he just said, dude, I'm going for it. He decided he was just going to make the craziest character that he could think of, and they were like, yeah, that's it. And he's like, what, really? Oh man, okay, now I gotta do this character for the whole time.
It kind of hurts my throat. I shouldn't have done that. That's cool. So what's out of the first two, what are some of your favorite moments? It could be driving a forklift, patting a cat, and talking to Nozomi in the park, or what are your defining moments that you've enjoyed, or certain scenes that you've enjoyed over the series?
Well, any time that Ryo Hazuki is just completely socially awkward with the ladies is always a great time to watch that happening, right? You're just like, oh man, just say the all right, oh okay, she's going now. Oh man, especially Nozomi, right? She's so cute with the sweater.
I remember there was that time at the park. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Come on, man.
Yeah, I've talked about this too, and I said, there's this, epic mission that he's on, and he has to, he has to complete this now with no thought of his own, and that's that moment where he's doing the right thing, maybe the Japanese way, right, where he has this stoic, I have to do my thing, and you're great and all, but I must take my revenge. But it's funny. A lot of people ask me about my favorite scenes, and there's a ton of great scenes that happen, right? But for some reason, and I think one of the ones that had the most, I don't know, the most emotional reaction to me was actually right at the very beginning, man. Right there at the very beginning, where your father gets killed and you find out about this magical mirror and what happened? Who's this what is it? Su Ming and China, and what's going on there? And there's so much confusion and so much things happening, and you realize that maybe your father was a part of something really big once. Maybe he had his own epic. And I said this before too. I was like, "Hey, maybe we could get a prequel where we play Hazuki's father, and we do the whole thing. Maybe he has to separate the mirrors in order to save the Earth or whatever. And he takes the mirror and he buries it beneath a cherry tree to hopefully never be seen again." And I was like, "Cool, let's go see it. Let's do a preview." Because that beginning scene was actually one of the most emotional, most visceral for me. Just getting into the game for the first time, being like, oh wow, man, this is great. And to realize that Ryo at that point realizes that he has a quest in life, and man, he does not hesitate, he does not stop, he does not fear. He knows what he has to do, and he does it. And that's another thing that I think is great too. Right after that moment, yeah, he is not happy. Obviously, he has some sadness, but man, he is on top of it. He's going to go face his destiny. So I think that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And because when you're on on a mission, you sort of walk around town. Like everyone you talk to is like, "Do you know any sailors?" And everyone's sort of path of speech would sort of center around that. There was a point around, I think just before you get onto the second disc, before you go to the docks, where everyone in the town, all their dialogue is just like casual, or it might be just before he goes to Hong Kong, near the end of the game, and Ryo will walk around and Tom's like going, "Hey, I'm going overseas," and Nozomi and she's ends up going, but you talk to everyone. I think there's another guy there's another food stand, and you're just going, "Oh, the weather is great. How are you doing?" Again, "I'm good." And it was, as opposed to sort of being on this, mission of, the Maeda barber shop or whatever, it sort of added that sort of human element, it's just for that space of half an hour, you could walk around, talk to everyone in town, and he seemed to be a bit more chilled for a little bit. It's like, all right, I've got this part sorted out, I can just relax a little bit, so... No, I thought that was a really cool touch. I actually walked around in that and tried to talk to everyone in the town because it was just nice to chat with people. It was it wasn't the dark foreboding, sort of, "Where's Lanti?" No, that was really cool. I enjoyed that sort of touch. But yeah, sorry, just having a nerd moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, see, that's another thing too. Shenmue does, right? I mean, that. Yeah, so you're right. So he has this mission, and he figures it out, and then all of a sudden, yeah, things do change, right? So there is that change in the game, and that's the first time that anybody's. I mean, to my knowledge, I've never played a game like that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Even just have, like you said, have people comment on the weather, and And maybe some people are like, dude, come on, seriously. You walked around the whole town and talked to everybody about what, just whatever. I mean, see, that's the thing. Shenmue does that.
Yeah.
And at the time, nobody else did that. And I thought that was great too. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
It was a bad time where when I was playing it. There's a quick time event in one of the streets in Dorita, I think, where there's a drunk. And he's just walking in the street, and if you come into him, he'll like smash a bottle over your head.
Right.
And it's sort of early on in the game. I think it just triggers it like at around sort of not between 9 and 10 o'clock, just before you're supposed to be home anyway. And yeah, I played it, and I was talking to I think I was talking to my girlfriend at the time. I said, "Oh man, last night I was like walking home, and I got this drunk guy like smash his bottle over my head," and she thought I was like talking for real. I was like, she's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" I was like, "No, in Shenmue." And she's like, "Oh wow, you've really got to stipulate that first."
That moment, right?
So, I was probably just out playing pool or something at the pool hall, and always late for Ine-san.
Yeah, I know, right? See, the thing is that, yeah, Shenmue was one of those things where you kind of like, it's kind of like a good book, right? Where you mentioned something like the Lord of the Rings, right? So when you read the Lord of the Rings, Tolkien is so descriptive about where they are in their particular travels. Man, if you showed me a picture, I could tell you where that is. I could tell you, even what direction that's facing. I could tell you what time of the book that they were there, whether it was before this particular event or after that particular event, right? So the thing is that it's very immersive, right? And the thing is that Shenmue is very, very immersive. And when you come home, I kind of feel like, yeah, you do leave this world for a while, and your brain goes into that screen, and you kind of enter another. It was one of those times where you're able to enter an immersive world, and maybe you would So you would describe that moment. Oh man, I was coming home. I got hit over the head with a bottle, and she thought you were talking about. You came home last night and got hit. The thing is that for you, you were almost there, right? The thing is, this was our most immersive game at the time. This is what we had, and so that it felt like you were kind of entering another place, right? You were entering another reality at that point.
I remember I felt so disappointed because I'd sort of I didn't get to press like left or the A button at the right time. It's like, oh man, I can't go back and do it. And it's like, oh, now I've got to go home, and Ine-san's going to notice that I'm injured, and I'm just going to cause more problems. She worries so much. So,
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it makes you actually care about other characters in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, for example, a lot of people don't care about that stuff, and I'm not gonna. There's a lot of really great games out there. Let's just say it's like Halo or something, right? Great game, but you go in there and you blow a bunch of shit up. It's cool, it's fun, but you don't care about the other characters,
Man,
so
every single morning without fail, I'd train and spar with Fukusan. I had to. He was awesome, man. He was a cool dude. Loved him.
Yeah, so that was also played by Eric Kelso, right? So Eric Kelso did Fukusan, he did Guizan, he also did Ren. And so yeah, he did. He was able to do very different characters, right? So yeah, Fukusan was that kind of not exactly apologetic, but almost. How would you describe his personality? Almost just sort of.
I don't want to sound harsh. He seemed a little bit more simple than the rest. But he was that friend that was always there, and he was always sort of...
No matter what, yeah.
Yeah, and he was always like, oh, we got to do this, Ryo, come on. Like he'd always be really excited to be with Ryo. Yeah, but he just wasn't... I don't know, he's just... I don't know, the simple friend.
Yeah, right. And then it's cool. And then Eric Kelso goes from that to Ren, right? Who's like the streetwise anti-hero who, will shank you in the back alley if you're not careful. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's cool. And it's cool too because, he was able to play these characters that were almost kind of Hazuki's sidekick in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like best friend,
Hmm.
or like confidant, or partner, or whatever the case may be. It's like, yeah, he was Fukusan, and then he was Guizan. Guizan, did the fight with him, right? That major fight, and then also taught him some martial arts, and then was supposed to accompany him to China. But when you go there, it ends up being Ren, and so Ren, yeah, he's the guy who's with you, and he's the street guy, but he ends up helping you out in the end, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's funny because we were in the studio together often. So me and Eric Kelso actually became really good friends, and we would hang out, and he took me doing the Japanese drinking thing all night, and somehow the more intoxicated he gets, the better at darts he gets. I don't know how he's able to do this, but he's one of those guys that after all night of drinking, he'll be like, oh, it's my turn. He'll stand up and like almost fall over the table, and like, oh man, you okay? You have to pick him up, and he just walks over to the dartboard and hits a bullseye. Come on, dude, seriously? How do you, man? So I don't know if he's like, the dartboard's moving and he's able he just goes right in the middle of the circle, or what the case may be. But yeah, he's great, man. He was almost like my big brother there in Japan. He brought me around Japan, or he brought me around Tokyo, showed me the ins and outs, told me how to talk to ladies, that whole thing. That's cool. It's great, man. Me and Eric Kelso became good buddies, and it's so interesting that all of our characters ended up being buddies in the games too. So,
don't know if you're allowed to talk about it or if you know, but if you can talk about it, do you know if any of the other guys are coming back that you worked with in the past?
I think there was a large response by the fans, and it happened almost immediately. I mean, the second that it was announced, people started talking about, well, we're going to have Corey Marshall back. We have to have Corey Marshall back, right? And so I tell people, if you want the other people back, and I'm talking about Eric Kelso or Paul Lucas or Liesl Whittingham, if you want any of these people back, man, just make it happen. Because Shenmue fans, man, if you can get Part 3 made, you can get your favorite voiceover artists back too. You know what I mean? And I know, even though Paul Lucas he's over in Singapore right now, he's still doing voiceover stuff. So he could definitely do it. I know that he'd be more than willing to do it because he loves the project, So yeah, we have to have Landy back.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You want those voices, all of it, to be what it was again, like now for the new one.
Yeah, and Liesl's done so many iconic characters too, you know what I mean? She's played like all these really great female characters, so to have her back as well. And the thing is that it could probably most definitely happen, but I tell all the fans out there, if you want it to happen, make sure that it happens. You know what I mean?
Just make a noise, internet people.
Yeah, make yourself be heard.
Knowing
and yeah, go ahead.
So knowing how much, I guess, noise the fans do make, does that freak you out for the third one at all? Like, what does that make you feel? Like, are you nervous about it?
Are you saying we're going to get a Phantom Menace? Is that what you're saying?
No. Does it just? I guess does it like does it freak you out? Like, just I guess in pressure wise, personally, like that this has got to be great. They want it that bad.
Yeah, I always hope, and things are going to be different this time, right? So we're not with Sega, and Sony is not going to be helping us out. So yeah, things are going to be real different. And the way I'm thinking about it now is that this is the game, by the people, for the people.
Yeah.
I'm calling it the people's game because, first of all, they demanded that it comes back, and now they're the ones that are funding it, So things are going to be real different.
It's just going to be that personal. Like when I play it, it's just like, man, I helped, man, and that's just that's gonna be like that personal touch.
Absolutely. This game I know is going to be made with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I know that. You know what I mean? And I know Yu Suzuki and all of his teammates are going to do the absolute best that they possibly can with the resources that they have, the people that they have, the money that they have, and what has been given to them as far as the rights are concerned. As far as Shenmue, you know what I mean? What has actually been given to them? I know that they're going to do the best that they can. And and I've talked to all of my fellow voiceover artists as well, and we actually really care about the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a job. Like I've done a lot. I've done a lot of work, and yeah, you want to do good work. And for example, some of the other anime projects that I've done, it's just like, yeah, I go in there, I do my thing, I get paid, and I'm like, cool, great, thanks. Hope it works out. But Shenmue's a little different. You know what I mean? Even the voiceover actors who they're just trying to do a job just like everybody else. We actually really care about what we're doing. Shenmue was one of those things that it's kind of a different animal. You know what I mean? We really do think about it differently, and I've said this too, and it's because everybody involved in production wants to have Shenmue be a certain way. It has a certain feel. It has a certain flavor. You know what I mean? They all kind of take care to make sure that it looks and sounds a particular way, and getting the voiceover artists in the studio at the same time to actually play off of each other is, basically unheard of. You know what I mean? You just don't do that. First of all, it's not very cost effective. And it's not, it's not particularly easy with scheduling and stuff like that. Most of the time, you go into a studio, you do the entire game, and maybe a few hours, maybe a couple hours or something like that, and you're like, cool, see you later. But when you go in day after day after day, and then you get different voiceover artists coming in, and then you play off of each other, and it's really different. So yeah, we care about the project a lot more. I really do hope that we can give something that fans like. See, the thing is that we all the other voiceover artists really feel like we want to make this good. You know what I mean? Like, we want to do a good project that people like and enjoy. We actually care about making it good. I mean, yeah, people want to do a good job. They want to be liked, I guess. You know what I mean? They want to have fans. They want to do a good job, but to actually care about the project on the level that I think we do as the artists, it's a little different. It's a little different.
Yeah, man. Just to wind everything up, wrapped that you're actually back for Shenmue 3. Loved your work and everything, and I think it's going to be an amazing game, amazing project, and it just really touches the heart. The fans have spoken, and everyone's really passionately behind this, man. So yeah, really, really excited.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's the people's game, right?
That's it. So how long were you starting soon, voiceovering in Japan, or?
Oh no. I they'll probably do what they had done in the past. See, it's interesting. When they did the announcement, they had it in English, right? So that it wasn't Japanese with English subtitles. It's actually English. So I thought, hey, are we going straight to English? Are we going to skip the Japanese this time? But no. Yeah, they'll probably do the same thing that they did in the past, where they'll create the Japanese version first, right? And then so all of the artists will come in, do it in Japanese. They'll release it in Japan, and then they'll do the English version, and that'll be, probably quite a while later. So, I think it'd be interesting to kind of get the version that people want. Get a Japanese version, of course, for all the Japanese speaking folks. And there's a lot of purists who would love to have a Japanese version with English subtitles. Why not, right?
Yeah.
And then there'll be a lot of people who would want the English version. A lot of people.
I want my Corey Marshall version, please.
It's weird. I have to. I don't know what to say because it's me, and it kind of freaks me out. But yeah, people really want me as the voiceover artist, and that's that's really great. Like, I don't know what to say. That's really cool. I really appreciate that. Like that kind of freaks me out a little bit. Like, wow, really, like people really want me to do it. I don't even know what to say sometimes. That's great. I really
it's because you're awesome, man. like listening to you talk just on the show, like you said, they asked you just to change the tone just a fraction to give off a younger voice, and just you talking on the show, there are words and things that you're saying that are coming out in the same tone, and it's sort of like, am I playing the game now, or what's happening? Like, you can hear it, and like, I guess it'd be awkward for you because I mean you're the voice actor of the game, and like here's Tim and I that are on the other side of the fence where the Dreamcast come out, we've got out and got this game and went, this is amazing, and we're listening to you talk as a fan of like the game and of your work. It's very surreal sitting here like hearing you right now. Because, and that's why I think the fans, there's an extreme strong connection between like the game character and you. If it was played with somebody else, it would, to me personally, if it was played by somebody else, it would damage the game.
If it was played by someone else, I'd probably opt for the English subtitles with Japanese audio.
Yeah, I'd be the same for sure.
Oh. Wow. So. Yeah, what am I supposed to say?
It's hats off to you. Let's see it.
Yeah, well, other than thanks, like, man, that's great. And again, I just want to make things that people like. Like I'm in this to make things that people want to play and that people actually think are good, and it's not just we're out there to make money and, I don't know, sleep with chicks and be movie stars or whatever. It's like I really do want to make things that people like. I want to make things that people have that emotional connection to. Like, man, that I'm so happy, so proud to be a part of a project like that.
So that's awesome, man. So I guess we'll finish this up, Pete.
Do we have to?
Yeah.
It's all good, man. All good.
We might stop talking to Corey right now, but as soon as this podcast ends, I've already got the Dreamcast set up in the lounge, and I'm firing up Shenmue to start playing.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice. Actually, I might stream it and then get Corey to narrate it as I'm playing it. We can just do it live.
Maybe maybe I'll be a little less socially awkward this time. We'll see if we can do a little experiment with Nozomi at the very beginning and just try to express some feelings and be like, oh, if you have to go, I just wanted to let you know that I really no.
Nice, but good luck. Thank you so much for sacrificing your afternoon. We realise you're a dad as well, so we're both dads, and then time is very hard to come by, spare time. So yeah, thanks for joining it with us. We'd like to wish you all the best and best wishes for Shenmue 3, and thank you for all the entertainment you've given us over the years, man. It's absolutely awesome, so thank you so much.
Yeah, guys, again, thank you for having me on. Thank you for really keeping the project alive after all these years, right? I mean, it's because of guys like you that we have Shenmue 3. Like, I hope you realize that. It's because of guys like you and all the fans out there that we're able to play the third version of the game now. And maybe, who knows, man, maybe we can get more. Maybe we'll do 4 and 5. And, hey, maybe we'll have a tie-in with the Yakuza game, maybe we'll do a prequel like I suggested with Hazuki Sensei, right?
Wow.
Let's just keep it going. Why not? We'll do it forever.
That's it, man.
But again, I want to say thank you to you guys. Guys like you and all the fans out there. That's the reason why we have Shenmue 3 today. So thank you, seriously.
All good, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I guess we'll end it on that one. Guys, if you haven't, by the time I'm going to edit this right away, so it should be out within a couple of hours. Head on down to Kickstarter, save Shenmue 3, hashtag, get on that Kickstarter, get all those the extra unlockables up there, and get yourself the physical copy. I don't know, I think all the jackets are sold out now. But yeah, support and yeah, as it's the people's game, as Corey said. So definitely, it's a great time to be a gamer, and it's a great time to be a Shenmue fan. So yeah, get on it, guys, and yeah, thanks for listening. See yous.
Bye.
See ya.
All right. Thank you. Bye. All right. So yeah, should we go for it now?
Yeah, go for it now, man. Yep.
Okay. Hello, Nozomi. It's Ryo. Hey, I've been listening to this Retro Domination podcast. I think you'd really like it. Well, anyway, I'll talk to you soon.
Wow.
That's unreal. That's awesome. I'm like wow.
That even the subtle pauses in between. Oh wow, that was great, man. That was great.